Hi, Matt with Lidlox here, and today we're going to go over how to properly spec out or figure out the size of the bolt in the end of your handlebars if you're trying to mount a Lidlox on the end of your handlebars and it's not specifically called out in my fitment table. So there's a lot of bikes out there, and we're pretty much talking the metric bikes, not the Harleys now. That's what we're going over here. There's not a lot of bar end weights on the Harleys. And the bolt mount style kits are the most popular really with the Harley world. So these are my two different bar end styles. I call this the small conical body and the large bullet shaped body, and they come in a 6mm version or an 8mm version. The 6mm takes a standard 6mm off the shelf bolt that just drops through the lid locks, and screw that into the end of your handlebars. Lots of the OEM handlebar threads are 6mm. I'll show you how to check that. And the 8mm, of course, is just a drilled out version of the 6mm. However, the 8mm bolt that Lidlox supplies has a machine down head, so it is a special bolt that you can't buy at the hardware store, because the standard 8mm head won't fit through the Lidlox body, the threads for the lock cord. Okay. So basically, you can stack a Lidlox on the end of your OEM bar end weight. This is a typical OEM bar end weight. This one happens to be 8mm, and these Lidlox are of course available in chrome or black, or you can put it on in place of your OEM bar end weight. So take out your OEM bolt, and I'm just going to show you. So get a pair of calipers. Hopefully you have a pair of calipers. That really helps in this job. And put it in millimeter mode. Okay, so take your OEM bolt out and measure across the threads. This reads 5.87, 5.88, and so that's a 6mm bolt. You just round up. That last tenth is just the tolerance on the bolt. It has to be a little smaller than 6. So the length of this bolt, this is a socket head. For a socket head, you measure from under the head to the tip. So that's 25. So that's a 26 by 25 socket head cap screw, SHCS. And the drive size is a 5mm hex. So I get a lot of customers who say, well, my bike's 5mm bolts. No, it's not the hex size we're looking at. That's the drive hex size. It's the thread that's 6mm. So typically, if it has a 5mm hex, it's probably a 6mm bolt, because that's what size the drive is on a 6. So these are my 8mm button heads. So you would just take that, 7.83, you round it up to 8, that's an 8mm thread. Measure the length, again, from under the head. So that's 30. So this is an 8 by 30. So the other head style is a flathead. This is called a FHCS, flathead cap screw. A flathead, you measure the length differently. You measure from the top. So that is a 30mm long flathead. You can see this one's a little skinnier. So that's 4.88, so that's a 5mm by 30 FHCS flathead cap screw. So all of these Lidlox bodies take up about 10 more millimeters of meat in here. So whatever the length of that surface is, and then put that on there and add 10mm, you're going to be all set. So let's drop this 8mm through here. So there's a counter bore, that's called, on top of that OEM weight, so that's going to create some air gap under here. So your bolt's got to go all the way through that, plus the 10mm in the body, and then have some decent thread engagement. You typically want 2 diameters as a good rule of thumb, as a minimum. So that's an 8mm bolt. So you want 16 to 20, 25mm of exposed thread there that's going to screw into your bike. So, you know, that bolt looks pretty good for this. So you would go on my website, and you could get both body styles and all of these generic kits, if you will, where you're just going to order the body and all the other parts you need, and the bolt are listed under 6000 series and the 8000 series. So all the 6000 series are 6mm, and you can get either this body style or this body style. The 8000 series are 8 millimeters, and you can get either body style. They're all available, single, double pack, black or chrome, and of course the double packs are all key-to-like, left and right, and there you go. That's how to figure it out. Just pull your OEM bolt out of your bike, measure it up, and go on the website and order your 6000 series or 8000 series kits, and that's how to do that for 6s and 8s. Now I will point out, if there's a bigger bolt in the end, like a lot of the BMWs, they do have those kits all spec'd out already. If you look down the BMW list, there's a lot of them in there. But pull your bolt out of your BMW or other bike with a large bolt, and you measure that up. Well, that's a 10 millimeter bolt. Well, a 10 won't go through a Lidlox, right? So all we do is I have these drilled and tapped down the middle for a 6. So that's how we accommodate a 10 or even a 12. Some of the Beamers have 12 millimeter bolts. And then you just replace your OEM bolt like a 10, which will be inside your, this one won't go through here because that's an 8, but you can see it would be in there with the head right below the surface. And then you have a 6 millimeter tapped hole, and you just install a 6. So that's how we accomplish bigger bolts with Lidlox. So just so you know, it's possible. And if you have a bigger bolt and you can spec it out and send me a picture of it, that's pretty easy for me to do. I'll let you know if I got the drilled and tapped out larger bolts for you. Okay, well, that's how to spec out your bolts to order a universal kit for your bar ends. Hope that helps.